that toward. Wow, Josh. Josh.
No. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here with episode 43, or session 43, of our ongoing campaign, Beneath the Banner's Shadow. This game has run for almost 5 years now, and up to very recently was run with D&D 5e, but we have recently switched over to playing Cortex Prime. It's been a really interesting exercise to see a game that has been going on for so long and characters that are so well developed through an entirely new lens. It's been really invigorating. I know, at least for me. So I'm very excited to continue the story tonight and see where things take us from here. We have two players who hopefully will be joining us a little bit later in the evening, with any luck, before we get too far into what is going on tonight. But before we get started, there's just a couple things that I want to go ahead and touch on. What do I want to touch on first? Oh, tonight's session is titled Fitfully Slumber No More. I was feeling poetic. Apologies. What else? Oh, I would like to say a massive thank you to both of the artists that have contributed to this campaign, both Rachel and Augusto. Rachel designed many of the shield designs that you will see throughout the campaign. You can see several of her works on the overlay here. And then Augusto is the artist that Steve hired to make portraits of all of the PCs that you can also see up in the corner of their overlays. It's fantastic work on both of their accounts. It added a ton of amazing production value to the game, and it's just amazing. Like, I've never had people create stuff for a game that I've run before, artwork and such. So it's a really cool experience, and I'm very happy that this is the game that's gotten it. Speaking of artists submitting things inspired for this game, you'll hear two different songs that were written and composed and put together by our very own Josh. His window is below me. Hopefully he will, like I said, be joining us here in a little bit. But one of the songs is titled The Tournament at Malrich. You will hear that during our break. And then the second song you will hear from him is called Swordbreaker, and you'll hear it on the end of the game, the post stream. So they're both fantastic pieces of music, and it's just so amazing that it has been inspired by the story that we've managed to tell so far in this game. It's just kind of a little bit of a taste as to how important this game is, I think. Same warning that I give on the beginning of all of my videos, and that is if foul language and mature subject matter are things that are problematic for you, then this is probably not a great game for you to watch. I don't really know that you're going to find much here on the channel that is okay for you to watch. But if those things don't bother you, then come on in. Settle down by the fire. I think I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to the players that are here so that they can introduce themselves, tell you where you might be able to find them on the internet, projects that they might have going on, things of that nature, and then I think we can get started. So first up, I'm going to just slide things to the left here to Karen.
Hello everyone, Karen, also known as Smithing Gears. And when I'm not here on this channel, you can find me over at Mini Terrain Domain, where I get to play some fun games there as well. So looking forward to this game tonight. I can't wait to get back into it and learn more about this Cortex Prime system that we've got going here. So with that, pass it on.
Yeah, allegedly. We're allegedly using Cortex Prime. We're still very new to the system, including me, and I'm sure the wheels on this wagon are going to be a little bumpy, but we're having fun in figuring it out along the way. If you find yourself happening to be in the live chat and you know Cortex Prime and we are doing something wrong, please kindly give us a nudge. Let us know what it is that we're getting incorrect, or leave a comment on the video, and we'll do our best to correct course. All right. Next up, we have Baron.
Hello everyone, I'm Baron, also known as Asshole and Dickhead. I am just so ready to escape the turmoils of my everyday life into turmoils of my fictional life, where my character is in harm's way frequently. See, episode 2 of Cortex Prime. Is it the fit for us? We shall see. And tonight I'm coming back as Sir Masaka Tord, and I am ready to do some shit. It really hasn't been the spotlight on me, which is great, because that means higher chance of survival.
Unless you happen to go into a cathedral, which, if that's the case, all bets are off, because we've seen they have a 1-0 record so far. Yeah, man, super happy to get the gang back together. This group of characters is, even whenever they're not in the spotlight, there's just so much that they have going on, and there's so much that they interject into the story and the way that these events play out. So always happy to have you guys back together. All right. Speaking of happy to have back together, I have no idea why the hell that doesn't make sense, but Eli, you're last.
Hi everybody, my name's Eli, also known as I Don't Make Sense. Glad to be here tonight. I make games under the company name Mythic Gazetteer, although I've been kind of quiet there. I have been working on stuff behind the scenes, hope to be sharing stuff like that soon. Instead, I've been scratching my creative itches with all sorts of just like daydreaming about this game because it's been a lot of fun lately. I'm likewise new to Cortex, but I gotta say, last session was a lot of fun. So I'm pretty jazzed about this personally and seeing where it goes. I'm going to be playing Sir John Lightnor, as always. He is a Knight of the Realm. And likewise, the spotlight hasn't really been on me, and I think that's great because it's a perfect opportunity for shenanigans. So here we go. Let's see where things play out.
That's the big thing, is like when the spotlight's not on you, it's like I can make jokes because my life's not in danger.
Mm-hmm. The spotlight of woe is not upon me.
The spotlight of woe be upon ye.
It's like the classic rule of theater, right? If you're on the apron, you have to behave yourself. But if you're in the wings or you're upstage, it's perfectly fine to try to crack everybody up. Just don't get caught doing it.
Pantomime all the way down.
Perfect. All right. So the last thing that I wanted to go ahead and talk about, since we have a little bit of extra time before the other two are going to be here anyways, is how we're going to handle growth, which is what Cortex Prime calls leveling in this system. Everybody who has tuned in, just sit tight. We're going to talk about system stuff here for just a minute, and then we will roll into this. So the way that we're going to handle growth is that each one of you is going to earn at least 1 XP every session. So now, right now, at the beginning of the session, each one of you mark an XP. You should have a growth on the character sheets that we put together, a growth box on your character sheet. Go ahead and put a tick in that. And then we discussed XP from last session already in our game chat. So make sure that you mark down those points as well. If you want to, you can go ahead and we can spend those. Essentially, anytime between sessions or between scenes even, if you want to level up or have some character growth, we can stop and do that. Obviously, it'll be a little better if everybody decides to kind of do it at the same time. But once we get used to how this works, I think it'll be something that's fairly fast. So it won't really take a lot of time and attention to address in the future. But there is a chart in our game Google Doc that Eli put together at the very, very top under the part labeled growth. where you have things that you can spend these XP points on. A single point you can use to create a permanent D6 relationship from an asset that's been created during the game. For example, Eli, if you wanted Sir John to take Balin, the character that we met last time, as a permanent relationship, you could spend an XP point to make that relationship permanent at a D6. And then it can change through gameplay and such. And there's a 5-point tier, 10-point tier, 15-point, 20-point tier. And there's several options under each of them. Just if you decide that you want to spend some points and you have enough to hit one of those things, just let me know and we can figure out what it is and how to do it. Are there any questions about how this is going to work?
I just want to remember, as far as terms go, asset, trait, and specialty.
Okay.
I think one of those at least is a really bucket term, but I can't remember which one.
So traits, any trait set is distinctions, values, roles, signature assets. All of those, I believe, are trait sets.
Okay.
So your values is a trait. It's one place that generates a die for your dice pool, essentially. What were the other terms?
Specialty and asset. So an asset is a type of trait.
Right. Typically, assets and complications are temporary things that are established in a scene.
Yeah.
And it's usually just something that kind of modifies the situation. So like when you met Balin, because he wasn't something that we had planned before, he just walks on scene unplanned and becomes an asset for you. Okay. And so if the scene calls on it and you want to utilize your relationship with him, you can do so. But at the end of the session, that relationship, that asset goes away. The board is wiped clean. Between scenes, a lot of times they're wiped clean. And that's why you spend an XP to make it a permanent relationship if you wanted to.
Got it.
A complication is an asset, it's just negative.
Sure. And then I know specialties are kind of like a focused expression of a role, but
yes.
Are specialties also traits, or are they kind of their own thing?
No, so a role, as far as covered under the XP stuff. Yeah, so it's not a trait. So like if you look under the 5 XP, there's 2 different bullet points. One says add a new specialty at train, D6. And then the 4th bullet point says upgrade an existing trait from D6 to a D8.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the specialty part would be, like you said, kind of a detailed expression of a particular role. So pickpocket for thief could be a specialty. So
okay.
You'd spend 5 to basically develop a new specialty underneath one of your roles.
Cool. And then I see, like, for SFX, it looks like you have to spend 10 experience to gain a new one, and then it's locked until you spend an additional 5 experience to unlock it.
Correct.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. And special effects are supposed to be the kinds of things where, there's a cost to do it, but you get some kind of benefit out of it.
Yeah.
And there's that document that I shared that has a whole bunch of them about SFX
Super
tricks
helpful.
and stuff like that. Okay. Let's see.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh yeah, 100%. Okay. Are there any other questions? Oh, look. You killed enough time for Snoop to get her. So, are there any other questions while I resize everybody's windows and shift people around? No? Okay. Cool. Come on in, Steve. The water's fine. It was a Dane joke.
It's actually, the water's kind of rusty. It's like, I don't know. don't drink it.
Definitely don't drink it.
I mean, if it does kill you, you'll get better.
Allegedly, you did, but who knows if that's everybody.
I'm not dead. I don't want to go on the cart. Oh my gosh.
I gotta say, as I'm going through here and like refamiliarizing myself with my character, I'm remembering I had a lot of fun. Like the different, so every trait or every specialty or mod set or whatever you want to say, every one of those is an opportunity to add flavor, which is really fun. But then also, like anything that has a hindrance or anything that has an SFX, it's also an opportunity to add flavor. So it's like, I've got what, 30 bullet points on my character, and every single one of them is some sort of like statement about that character or whatever that I made up myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super cool.
Yeah, I've been very, very impressed with my limited understanding of Cortex Prime. A good friend of mine in my normal D&D home group and I were talking last night about this campaign and the fact that we'd kind of recently switched. And I was telling him, it's really interesting. I'd never really put it together before, but D&D character sheets, more or less, the abilities that a character has, are an expression of what a character is capable of, what they can do. But Cortex Prime examines a character by who they are, not what they can do.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting study in kind of seeing them as actual human beings, as opposed to just, a badass that can crush things with his fist, or that can, cast spells or whatever.
Totally. And like, I think that's one of the reasons why we didn't really engage with the rules of D&D like a whole lot. We would go through combats or whatever, but there was a lot of stuff in between where we just wouldn't roll dice because it was just interpersonal drama. And like you said, that game is about what you do, and we did explore a lot about who we are as characters.
Mm-hmm.
And like the really freeform part of that has been really fun, but I think we've established enough of a base that I can see how this would like challenge those ideas about who we are in really interesting ways and kind of force us through crucibles and stuff.
Well, and at the very least, it forces you to quantify those points about your character. Instead of it just being kind of an abstract, amorphous idea of who they are in the back of your brain, where it's kind of like, oh, I can't really describe it. I just know who they are. Now, having to put it into actual definable terms kind of makes you really process the whys of that's the way they are. What's made them that way? Why do they feel that way? And it's just a really interesting character study.
Totally, I agree.
But it's also a way that you can derive mechanics, which is a really cool. There's not a lot of systems that do that kind of thing, which is neat. Steve, are you back? Maybe? Not quite? Okay. We're going to go ahead and get started, and he can join us when he's ready. Is everybody else ready? Are there any more questions or anything that you want to touch on? No? There he is.
There's Steve.
All right. Here we go. We mortals measure time in nothing more than the breadth of a hair. Our entire lives are lived in an instant, and we have no understanding of what came before or what will come after. In the blink of an eye, every bit of history that has passed over lips or parchment, everything we thought of as dear and precious, will have disappeared with the wind. The roots, the rocks, and the rivers know this. The skies, the stars, and the sands have kept time since before the first of us opened our eyes. They were here to usher us into existence, and they will watch as we return to the dust from whence we came. we find the five of you still at the keep of Baneshiel, north of Ginden's Wall, outside of the proper boundaries of the Kingdom of Vykaril, in a place known as the Umberwood. This buffer, this region, had been gifted or forced upon Baneshiel. It's kind of hard to know which is technically the case. Needless to say, he was assigned as an ambassador of sorts to be with the humans, to work with them, to maybe even keep an eye on them. He served on the round table beside Mathuran Gabrain, and now, we have also learned, beside Garfriend Pendrake. He now remembers them both fondly. But in the century since Mathuran's passing, things in Vykaril have tarnished. The humans have forgotten the true meaning behind a lot of the knightly values and virtues that they supposedly uphold, where people used to be courageous and honest and just. Many of them are now simply greedy and hungry for power, corrupted. This has caused Baneshiel to somewhat distance himself, become a little reclusive. Though he still holds this parcel of land, his absence kind of created a wilderness where not many people actually live anymore. But in the recent times since the plague in Warrington, people have fled, trying to get away from the plague happening in the south, and have started to kind of resettle the Umberwood here around Baneshiel's keep. The five of you have taken a little bit of a respite here as you head north towards the land of the elves. You know, after you leave Baneshiel's keep, you are going to have to cross through the lands of the Druids, which is a group of people that you have had some tidings with in the past. Although, for our players, it has been about 40 sessions. So, you know, you may or may not remember exactly how things went the last time, but they weren't exactly the best of parting terms. That may or may not rear its ugly head soon. Just, you know, dusting it off just in case.
Whatever do you mean?
I would never, ever do anything to hurt any of you. Just your souls. Cool. I think I've got everybody adjusted. Where is my thing? There it is. Okay. So we find yourselves at this keep of Baneshiel. You had just had dinner the previous evening, where things got a little eventful. First and foremost, there was some new information that was discovered, shared, remembered, dealing with Eddard's lineage and Garfriend Pendrake, his ancestor. Found out that Baneshiel did in fact remember him, but the only reason he didn't think he did was because there was some kind of powerful spell that had been placed over him. In fact, had been placed over the entire kingdom of Vykaril. So it seems. By none other than your favorite Dark Witch, Sakawida, whose name happened to come up during this conversation. It was warned against to not whisper this, you know, powerful Fae's name, but it seemed like maybe it was a little too late. The conduit of Dane merging his soul with that of Camagel has created something of an open live wire, or something that Sakawita happened to tap into, and addressed all of you at dinner. Rather rudely, I might add. Before Dane was rendered unconscious. So, that's the situation that we find ourselves in on days of our lives. No, I'm just kidding. On Beneath the Banner's Shadow. And I think we're going to begin with the next morning. So, as the dawn happens, as you awake, I'd like to kind of go through one at a time and see what your characters are doing to prepare to leave, and how the conversation is going to go as you start to meet up with one another.
So I think. Oh, good.
I think Sir John is up first as usual doing calisthenics. That's all I was really going to say.
I think Dane's been awake for probably several hours at this point. After going from a forced sleep, thanks, to a fitful normal one, and has been sort of curled back into the corner of the bed where the bed and the walls meet, sort of back to that. Almost like nursing a bad hangover. Yeah. But also very it's not timid, just a little gun shy about opening his mouth and saying anything.
Tord is taking kind of a more leisurely approach to his morning, taking the long way out to Kaza, feeding his horse. Tord is usually pretty good at ignoring tension, but he himself has been on edge, and I think whenever he does see Dane, he kind of just approaches, and with not overdoing it, but one of the like just grasp of the shoulders, bring you in. Not so much saying anything, just kind of a reminder that he is here. Before kind of just like nodding to you and carrying on with his morning, not even trying to make any kind of anything out of it. I hear they have blood sausage this morning. He like chuckles.
What type of tree do you think they get that from?
The blood tree. It bleeds.
You know, a year ago, I wouldn't have believed that, but
Amazing. The things you see, the people you know, the trees you bleed.
hey, Tord, if you don't want to answer this, you don't have to. Okay, preface it with that. Do you think there was a part of Ari that wanted to hit me?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think there's a
I
part
think
of
so
Ari.
too.
I think there's a part of Ari that wants to hit everyone.
Well, I mean that makes sense, I suppose. She does solve a lot of her problems by hitting them.
Some might say that's a red flag.
But that means if she hit me, she saw me as one of her problems. I get it.
I think more or less actually the takeaway is you're a problem she finds worth
Hitting.
figuring out. Ari also walks away from a lot of problems too. She didn't walk away from you.
Not yet.
Oh, shush.
Well, I mean, we have this whole trip ahead of us still.
Right. I mean, there will one day be a time where our paths all diverge. But the good thing about not knowing where you're going is there's a lot of roads that take you there.
Yeah. It's almost poetic, I guess.
Well, you know, sometimes I get them in there and I kind of try and poke at you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Well, we have so much to do before that.
Yeah. Well, I better go horses. And
I'm actually going to I'm about to reshoe my horse.
Yeah.
I like to do it myself. Do you want to help me?
Yeah. I'll meet you over there. Just gonna go get some more stick sausage.
Can you grab me some of the bark bacon they have? Just a handful.
The crispy one or the one that's still a little floppy?
It's all real crispy, Dane.
I know. I was trying.
It's so dry. Why is it all so dry?
I think honestly, I have started to understand the starting point for Ari's disgruntledness. The food. It's the food.
Do you think she can photosynthesize or some shit? Because there's a lot of nutrients that I am just missing here.
No, honestly, I bet you if we really looked into it, we'd find out that there's beautiful elven fruits and vegetables and
But you have to go beyond where humans are.
well, you have to be an elf, I think.
Oh.
Right.
I think you're having this conversation as you're walking into the stable, and Sir John is, as part of his calisthenics routine, pushing the unruly horses into their stables, into their stalls. And he does that, and then he picks up this elven fruit and takes a huge bite of it. And he's like, "Have you tasted these? I think they've got all the nutrients I need for an entire day."
I'm gonna be honest. That thing is colors I've never seen before.
Me neither, but it has tastes I've never tasted before either.
Can I cut some off of yours to try?
Hell, take a bite, and I just throw it at you.
I'll take it. I'll take a bite of this elvish fruit.
Well, I'm gonna go get the bacon sticks.
Oh,
you do that.
I'm
gonna start prepping Kaza here for new shoes. What are you doing, Sir John? Do you want to help me with these new shoes?
Sure,
I'm holding some horseshoes.
I'd love to. Yes, of course.
If you want to grab the file over there, we'll get her straightened up.
Yes, I've done this before. I know the steps.
It's like somebody who's saying that about changing a tire who's never actually changed a tire. I've watched plenty of people do this.
Yes. I heard someone doing it from another room once. I think I can make this work.
Tord, I imagine you probably even found a blacksmith here in the town who was really looking for some work to do. Having just kind of reopened, whatever scrap of a forge was still left here, and was more than happy to make enough, new shoes for you to shod your horse. What about
work, if I do say so myself?
Yeah, there you go. And then Eddard. What's Eddard up to? Yeah, or Ari.
Ladies first.
I think Ari was up actually fairly early, probably on the same time frame as like Sir John, but she spent a lot of it pacing back and forth outside of Dane's room, not wanting to go in. Like it looked like she'd, go in, but then she'd hesitate and not and walk away, and then she'd come back and then she'd walk away again. And I think eventually she just kind of gave up on going into Sir Dane's room at this point, and would have gone down to grab some wonderful juicy fruit that is laid out there for people to eat. And she would have had her fill, and then she would have gone outside to I think also ready the horses, at least her horse. And I'm thinking that she was probably in the stables already when you guys came in, but hiding as she does, and just
Oh, Beaver, sorry. God damn it.
I think at one point she gave herself away because she kind of giggled when you took a bite of the fruit. But good morning.
Oh, you scared the bejeebus out of me.
Oh, you should not let the bejesus get out of you. I mean, it's hard to catch again.
We were just about to reshoe my horse. You're just in time. We could all do one shoe. Actually, I lied. I'm gonna do it. We can hang out.
Was that Dane here earlier?
Yeah.
How's he doing?
He's our natural little rain cloud.
Feeling a bit under the weather then?
Well, he hides it well, but I feel like he just perpetually feels bad. But anyway,
It doesn't seem to me like he's coping well with his death.
which is valid.
I mean, would you?
I mean, he survived.
Well,
Did he? Did he really?
his arms peel.
I suppose that's true, but I don't know. He thinks it's a legendary sword of heroes. It can't be that bad in the end. I'm sure it's uncomfortable, don't get me wrong. I'd be irritable as well.
I don't know if I've ever actually been a sword before.
I'm unclear on that. Is the sword within him, or is he the sword?
There's no person that has come out and said anything to me about that.
I'm just piecing together what I've heard.
I don't know.
Ari, do you know anything about this from the Elven lands, or I don't know?
That seems a bit more personal than I'm trying to get here.
Understood. I know your boundaries.
I've never really talked to him about it.
We'll have to mention it to Eddard next time. He's got access to secrets, history, that sort of thing.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Camagel wasn't humanoid the first time.
Yes, I don't remember any legends to that effect. No,
it was a sword.
It seems to be a development, and that's why I'm curious. Is he the sword, or is it just kind of in him and it comes out?
Maybe once we complete the sword itself, it will be like a transference.
Are we transforming Dane into a sword with this quest?
You know,
I hope not.
I really hope not.
I like him as a young man.
He's a fine young man.
Well, I mean, he is struggling, but I believe in him.
without a doubt.
So anyway, with the horseshoe, you do the nails here, right?
You got to trim it back just, to make sure that the growth stays even.
I knew
And
that.
also, yeah, we gotta
Sorry, I
file
was
this down
testing
here.
him. I was testing him and he passed the test.
Just like you're testing me now because you've got it upside down.
Yes. Aha.
Don't you
Sharp
dare
eye,
nail
all
it like that. That is upside down. You listen to her.
Well, I just thought it might make the horse more agile if they could move
No.
backwards at the same speed as four, like 2 and 2, you know?
Mm-mm.
Well,
You
I
didn't
guess
do
some
that on
people
the
are
front
just
one,
scared
did
of innovation.
Perfection. What do we find Eddard up to this morning?
I like to imagine that he kind of came around the corner when his name was mentioned about history, and he's just kind of walking down to the stables. Hey, did I hear my name? History. And he kind of joins the rest of them in shooing the horses. He doesn't actually shoot the horses, of course. He just hangs out.
Ah, well, if it isn't the Lord Eddard Pendrake, Baron of Ravenfleot, how are you, my liege?
No. I didn't get much rest last night. How about the rest of you?
Terrible sleep.
It was rather stressful going to bed last night.
Well, I take it we all had our reasons for the insomnia, but I hope we're all feeling well about the day and rested. Long journey ahead of us.
Our road goes ever onward.
Something has been weighing on my mind. Here we are, in Baneshiald's realm, surrounded by refugees from Warrenton. We have broken the siege at Warrenton, but this place seems abandoned to me. Should the people of Warrenton remain here, or should they return to their home now that the plague is gone?
Yes, that is the question.
If they return home, is there anyone even to govern them?
Well, their shield bearer ran off to the capital with the first sight of the plague, so I'd say not.
Is that even the responsibility of the refugees to clean up the town? Is that something they should rely on the king, queen?
And really, who are we to tell them that they have to go back? They can just stay wherever they want. If they want to go back, they can go back. That's up to them. It's their choice. There's a home here.
Have we heard any of the rumor mill here in town? I mean, we've been here for a day, question mark?
Yeah, probably a day or two.
I mean, people talk, even if it
Certainly.
is just gossip. I'm sure there's tales of horrific monsters in the woods and the swarms of these, rat mouth zombies, and there's probably some tragedy out in these groups of people. But has anything in regards to Warrenton being liberated of? I guess I don't even know if liberation is the word.
So you
Had
might
we told anybody? I can't even remember.
Yeah, I think
I don't
you
even
told
think we announced
Baneshiald.
it.
I would
Pretty sure
imagine
that you
we
told
this.
Baneshiald, yeah, at the very least.
And I'm
So
more
there's
or less certain I would be loudmouthed about it.
Yeah, that is true. I imagine that there is at least some rumblings about the possibility that Warrenton might be safe again. But these people in particular are highly superstitious, and most of them were already fairly fringe, frontier people anyways. They were the ones who were far enough north that the plague never actually reached them, but they stayed ahead of it. So a lot of them are kind of rough, rugged people who may not be in a super big hurry to return to a city as large as Warrington anyways.
I mean, to be fair, the plague may be gone, but it's still full of rotten corpses.
True.
Is that
I-
something that like the army comes in and cleans up? How does that work?
When's
Well,
the last
like-
time you've
come
seen
and
a
clean up
Warrington
the
soldier?
predicament in Angershire? We did that ourselves.
Yeah, I was gonna say we would just probably do it.
Perhaps we should write the Queen.
Perhaps. I don't mean to let Wirus Warrington know that I have the shield.
I don't give a shit if you tell him or not. Is it like an actual shield?
Yeah.
Yes,
How big
it
is
is
it?
it is a wooden kite shield. So it is shaped very similarly to the designs that you'll see for the campaign here that are on the overlay. It's kind of that shape, and it's probably 4 foot tall from point to point. It's pretty sizable. You could certainly, do what a shield's for, hide behind it. And it's made of what you have been told, at least, is the wood that once formed the round table of Mathuran Gabrain. It is literally the table itself that they forged into these shields.
See, I thought it
so
was
while-
like a puzzle piece situation where
No.
everyone, like, by our powers combined, we are the round table.
So essentially, when Mathuran died, they divided up the table in radial symmetry, and each chair at the head got that wedge as their shield. And they have been, through the last 100 years or so, passed down from, a couple of different generations. Some houses have lost favor and others have gained favor, etc. So they've changed hands quite a few times since then. So they are wooden shields, but they do have steel covering on the front of them. And then they are typically done in the fashion of whatever house holds them. So the one that Eddard currently has is sporting the heraldry of the House of Warrington still.
And Tor, when you say that, I don't really care about what the Baron says. Yes, but the people of Warrington deserve someone who cares about them. Certainly, they're not to be made to clean this mess up.
I should think not. I could send a message to my mother, and I could request that she pass it along to the rest of the realm, calling all charitable souls to arrive in Warrington to provide aid.
At the behest of House Light North.
Vykaril.
I see. I would say that certainly looks favorable for us. All this Baron has for him is tucking his tail and running when it mattered. He couldn't even be bothered to come back for the shield.
Yes. Do we want to say that? Should I tell my mother that he has abandoned his duties?
How well acquainted are the Lightnors and the Warringtons?
Oh, hardly at all. But I mean,
Certainly,
if the
word
news
would
is to be
spread.
traveled across the entire realm, then that will be quite a revelation for many people. Could create a power vacuum.
I think that's a good idea. I can enlist some of the folk of Raise and Flay up to travel out to Warrington as well. Maybe if I message Alora and her brother right now, they were on the way to Raise and Flay out. We had sent them away before we actually entered Warrington proper. Maybe they come back.
You're talking about the Dame Alora Langworth, aren't you?
That's right.
Well, what you do with her is your own business, but I could also instruct my mother to send folk of Lightnor or Corwall there.
In relation
Provide,
to Warrington, where is Lady Wainwright? She was outside. She's outside of.
Yeah, the Wainwrights are. Wait. I have a list. Wainwrights are in charge of Avalon. So let's see if I can't bring up the map here. Just a second. Locations? Yeah, okay, it's under locations. All right, switch things over here. So this is the northern reaches of Vykaril. This map was drawn by Eli, actually. Thanks, Eli. So the wall, Ginden's wall, kind of stretches basically where the Umbra Wood is kind of written in the upper right-hand corner. It kind of stretches from that mountain range to the south, kind of all the way to the coastline in kind of a slow, sweeping arc. So Cavalon, you can see, is kind of down in the bottom right-hand corner. And then you can see how far Warrington is from it.
Cavalon's probably closer than anybody else's resources, right?
Certainly. Let me see.
I think Raisin Flails is south of Calder, or to the west.
Yeah, where you see Oxfeld is. To the north of Oxfeld is where Kerwall is, where House Lightnor is. And then, Vykaril, between Vykaril and Calder, is where, or Vykaril and Oxfeld rather, is where Raisinfleet is.
Yeah, so like south and a little east of Vykaril.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Both of those would take a few days worth of travel, whereas the Lady Wainwright of Cavalon said if I was ever in need, I could call on her. In truth, I thought that meant perhaps like a skirmish of some kind, but I don't know. Maybe it would be for this.
Well, Lady Wainwright's people have suffered greatly recently, as have the people of Corwall going through the war against House Mellowayne. Perhaps we send a portion of each of them, and they protect the city together, protect and care for the city together, even.
I thought exactly. I was going to ask that the Wainwrights hold for some of the Lightnor forces and some of the Raisin Flailed fortress until they all arrive, and then they could ride north together. I guess the situation now is letting everyone know I do have a spell. It's very limited, but I could get word out today to both. Just what to say, I take it, is the harder question.
We could do both. I can write a letter either way.
I have things I want to say to my mother besides that I don't care to repeat to you, but we could send the message about Warrington at least.
Do you think she would be averse to a magic message? I don't know. I don't know what she is. Is she fond of magic, or would that be something that would startle her?
I'm confident she will accept it with grace.
Understood.
I don't really know how Lady Wainwright feels about magic, so I think I might just send her a letter.
And by the time the letter gets there, the people from Raisin Flail and Kerwall should be coming on down like a couple days out.
I mean, I'm sure that we have like a proper pigeon system.
Yeah, probably more within the kingdom proper. Now,
Well,
Banchial
being that
will be able to
you're
help
with
you.
Banchiel,
Yeah, for
with-
sure.
there's owls here, right? You can send a pellet message.
It's called V-mail, actually.
Mhm.
V for
Um,
Vykaril.
Pellet mail.
Yeah, he can absolutely help you doing something like. And as a matter of fact, all of you would probably be very, very aware that this is probably like the last place that you'd be able to send this kind of a written missive, at least, out from.
Really glad we thought of this now. Before we left, it would be totally impossible.
Okay, so it sounds like you're going to either by dispatching written missive or using magic, you're going to pass on the word to Racenfliot, Kerwal, and Cavalon in order to send aid to help clear and rebuild Warrington.
Mhm.
Yep.
Jeremy, would you say? Tell me if this is fair. I'm kind of thinking like, how many people do you think it would be fair to send from Raisin Flail? I know they're like not like super well established, but there's people about. I was thinking to send probably one of my knights and 25 to 30 able-bodied. Like, you think that's I think that's
Sure.
reasonable.
So the town of Racenfield, like, it wasn't really decimated. Like, the people in charge were, House Fegrin, something like that. Whatever that guy's name was. Um, so his, soldiers and him were cleared out, but there was still a lot of the people who actually do the daily work in town who are still there. And you have Thomas Kane, who been in charge for several months at this point.
Mhm.
And he had an entire group of people who kind of, helped him, worked with him. And then you have sent back probably at least half a dozen people at this point,
Yeah.
able-bodied people.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's 25 like people who are used to physical hard labor, and
Sure.
somebody to kind of keep them in charge or keep charge
Yeah,
of them would not be difficult
basically.
at all. Yeah.
Perfect. Let's see. So yeah, Eddard will send that message off to. He's going to send it to Thomas for him to pass on to. Let's see, what's her name? Oh my goodness. Lady Unka Rond of House Pendrake. And she and 25, 30 able-bodied. And they were starting to build like a small militia. So they wouldn't be like awful fighters, but they're certainly not like formally trained or anything. And if John is going to send a letter to Kerwal, I think I will just probably send out a small message to his mother, something to the effect of, introducing myself as Lord Eddard Pendrake and letting her know that John has a letter coming and that we need reinforcements heading north. I mean, we met her, so she knows who I am, I guess.
Totally,
Yeah.
Well, and this is the part where I say that a week ago I wrote that letter in real life.
Nice, love that.
So, and part of it was intending to like announce the breaking of the plague of Warrington. So I actually have that written out and I want to read it.
Oh my God,
and
love
I think
that.
this is maybe a message that could go out to all three places, with instructions to like maybe keep it amongst themselves for now, but be ready to tell the whole world whenever it happens or whatever. But anyway, the words are: lend ear, one and all. The sword of Vykaril has slain the witch of pestilence and broken the plague of Warrington by valiant force of arms. Those few citizens to avoid the plague have emerged in pure health, but in dire need of succor. To all those who stir to unite Vykaril in its time of need, make way to Warrington with medicine, food, clothing, shelter, and protection. And to my mom specifically, I would ask that she send 4 lieutenants, 2 of them senior lieutenants, 2 of them junior lieutenants, each of them in command of a company of soldiers, and also a scribe. Love you, Mom. Talk to you later.
Perfect.
Yes, a little brown teddy bear.
Answering a question in chat. Yeah. So you can absolutely get these things sent out, the copies made or whatnot. Either you can do it, or there might be somebody who's a scribe in town who can get that done for you. Again, the infrastructure here is kind of in the process of rebuilding, but Bainchiel knows what he's doing, even if it has been some time since the infrastructure here has been kind of up and running. And they've been working towards it for the last several weeks. So there's certainly a reflection of civilization present here. Again, all of you are probably fairly aware, though, that this is going to be kind of the last bastion of real civilization before you head out into the wilds. And Ari, having passed this direction before, because you came from the lands north of here, you know that while your people are civilized, that there's a lot of space between here and there that you have to trek across. And it is some pretty wild forest lands, very old forest lands. So the next question then becomes, are there any preparations? Is there anything that you want to do before you depart?
At some point in the day later on, Dane would like to speak to Bainchiel. But otherwise, otherwise I will come back here shortly with bark, bacon, and stick sausage. And
as Dane comes back with the bark, bacon, and stick sausage, Ari leaves.
Did I stall long enough?
You're muted, Baron.
I look around. I don't see Ari, so I just assume I did. So, how's everyone today?
Wait, did you go to Bainchiel, or are you asking that of us?
Y'all, I came back and Ari left right as I was getting there.
Got it. Dane, did you rest well?
Oh,
I'm actually picking off of your plate that you were going to bring back.
yeah. They I tried to find the sausages that still had leaves on them. But I guess those go first. I slept enough. Well enough, I suppose.
I think I put a hand on your shoulder and I look meaningfully into your eyes, and I'm like, soon we will be gone, and you will be reunited with the sword.
Right. Reunited. So when are we going to wherever we're going next?
Do you not want to be reunited? I thought that was why this happened last night. Your separation.
No. I don't know why what happened. The punching part I understand, I think, but
Sure you do.
prior to that part. I mean, I'm not saying I don't remember. I know, right? Baneshell had some sort of spell cast on him, and or the whole kingdom did. Right. No, the sword, as far as what it is, I don't. We don't think we could be much closer or more united than we are.
Would you say that means that you are separate or the same?
I think some time ago it was mentioned that the physical form of Camagel had been destroyed, but that the essence or spirit of us was still here. In passing, it was said that Dane held the spirit, but we think the spirit was in multiple places and has been allowed now. I think the sword kind of pulled its essence together and is in us now. More now than ever, actually. Being here is very different than being on the outside.
That sounds pretty different.
Purer form, perhaps. Living inside the rusted blade of Celestials has been very taxing.
Dane, my friend,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
hear this.
Mm-hmm.
We have faced every evil that has confronted us, and we have come out on the other side. We will continue.
We will.
Okay, we will find a brighter tomorrow.
We will.
Together.
Right. All of us.
Yes.
Do you think there will be a time where you will not be together with it again?
With the sword?
Yes. When we finish our quest,
I
are
think
you
there's
just Dane again?
I thought about that last night. And I don't know. I don't know that both can exist at the same time.
I don't know what that means.
I think the reason that I died and come back the way that I am is because there's a need for, we have need for a vessel now until the proper vessel is restored.
And then what?
Then I think we have to make a very hard decision. But I've already made it, so it's okay.
Well, hold on. You said we have to make a hard decision, and I don't remember making it.
We weren't including you. Because you won't let me make that decision.
Tord looks away.
So, about these druids, right? Careful toward that shoe's gonna go on backwards. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you.
Good catch. Good catch.
No, I'm gonna go sausage sticks. Right.
We should. We will have to speak to these druids, and the last time we did that, it did not go well.
Yeah, maybe we just let Ari do the talking this time.
That's great until one of us is addressed directly.
She's not had problems speaking over us before. Besides, she's like you, Torg. She's something more when she's at home. That's what you were. A hero out here, but a hero to your people there. Maybe she's the same here. Maybe.
I hope so.
I don't think so, but I'm trying to convince myself. I think she was a while ago. On an entirely different, less dramatic note, anybody else catch the weird looks between Bangshiel and Ari?
You're telling me.
Yeah. That's how you get baby shield bearers.
I think so. I don't know what happens among the elves, but oof, there's something happening there.
It's probably very slow, like tree growth or something.
It's got to involve seeds.
Gross.
I think.
And on that note, Ari was slipping out of the stables as an opportunity when the rest of them were busy to go find Bangshiel.
Okay. Let's see. I don't imagine that he's overly difficult to find. Again, like, while the normalcy of, like, courtly life is starting to kind of take hold again here, it hasn't fully. So he doesn't have, like, a full retinue of people attending to him and that kind of thing. So gaining an audience with him is not hard to do, especially being guests of his keep. So you find him, standing over his desk, kind of attending to administrative tasks, signing his name to dozens of pieces of paper and trying to organize things with the few bannermen that he has at his disposal right now. As you enter, he looks up and sees you and kind of smiles and nods, but he continues speaking to the individual next to him, kind of finishing his thought or his statement. And when he's done, that person kind of takes several scrolls with them and departs from the room. He looks up. There's a couple of other people still in the room here. He looks up and he says, "Good morning to you, Ariana."
Morning.
Did you sleep well?
No, not really, but I think there's just too much on my mind, but it has nothing to do with this place. Just all the thoughts that were going around.
Did it have to do with your friend, Dane?
It did.
Sir Dane, forgive me.
It did. I've yet to talk to him about what happened last night.
Well, if it's anything that I learned with my time with the humans, it is that they do not hold grudges for very long. I I don't think that there will be animosity between you for much longer.
I hope you're right. As in my experience, the humans do hold grudges. But like they are in most things, though, it seems to burn out in time.
It certainly holds no candle to elven grudges. He says, like, kind of giving you a look. Like, he knows you know what he's talking about.
She just kind of looks down and I think shuffle her feet a little bit because feeling a little bit awkward at that. But in time, even the elves can get over their grudges, I think. I hope.
I believe so. He turns and he says in Elvish to the other attendants that are still kind of here, basically just saying, if you would please give us the space. And they kind of wrap up what they're doing and they will leave. And he'll turn to you, and it's not that he was like distant or aloof before, but a little bit of posturing with other people in the room that is now kind of gone, a little softened since they had left. And he kind of turns to you. I understand that the part of your journey that you face next is going to be perhaps the most difficult. Going home can sometimes be, well, a double-edged sword, I suppose.
I'm to be frank, I was more worried about that before we stopped here. And now I'm finding myself with a bit more confidence, if you will, a little bit more strength to face them.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. When I went home for the first time after so many years away, I was a nervous wreck, to be honest. I was worried that there was so much that I had forgotten. I had started to believe what they had said about me. That I had become a human. That I had forgotten how to live as an elf. But the truth of the matter is, I found out how to be Baneshiel. I'm a bit of both, I think.
You know, I've never really felt at home, if you get my meaning. And being with the humans has made me understand that there's more. There's more than just the traditions that we're taught. There's more in this world that we need to learn and maybe even embrace. And while I didn't understand your vision, now that I've been here for decades, I do understand it. It feels more like home. Like the way things should be.
Well, then hopefully your quest will give you time to build upon that confidence. And you will be gone just long enough to miss home. It will drive you to return.
There's something I wanted to give you before I left.
He kind of laughs softly to himself as he kind of turns around with a small parcel that is wrapped in a piece of like this purple blue silk, the kind of heraldry colors of House Banshial, in his own hands. But it seems that we had a similar idea. But please, I do not wish to interrupt you.
Oh, she's like all flustered at this point. By all means, you first.
He smiles and nods. And he steps forward and hands you this small piece of, again, just this silk that's kind of been just loosely folded over an object. It's no larger than the palm of your hand when he hands it to you. He just kind of takes your hand, turns your palm upwards, and places it into your hand with his hand over the top of it. And he says, "This is so that you can remember what feels like home."
And she looks down into her palm to see what is wrapped in that silk.
You kind of pull back the folds of the silk and find sitting inside of it a finely crafted elven brooch that depicts a golden leafless tree and its roots that kind of spread out wide. It's inlaid with silver and gold, and it looks like 5 maybe onyx gemstones, a large one in the center and flanked on either side by 2 smaller ones. This is meant to go on the front of your cloak clasp or what have you, to hold your tunic or your cloak closed. Once you have studied it for a moment, he says, "May I?"
Oh, yes. It's exquisite. Thank you.
You're most welcome. It is a token of my appreciation and of my affection. He takes it from your hand and he'll affix it in the place of one that you wore not that long ago.
I think she like admires it for a second or two, and then she remembers, oh, yes, I have something for you as well. I want there to be no misunderstandings and things between us. I know I've been cold to you in all the times that I've known you, and I was frankly, I was mean. I mean, you showed me kindness and I returned it with coldness.
Ariana,
I flung... Yes?
You have a way about you that can be abrupt at times, but I think that that has been part of the reason why you have been so successful living amongst the humans. And to be honest, it is one of the things that I admire about you. You speak your mind. You do not hide it behind pleasantries or
That's the thing. I do. I run when I'm afraid. I run to protect myself. And that's why I ran all those 15 years ago. But I think I'm done running. And with that, she is going to pull out this mushroom. It's like this deep purple mushroom. It's kind of looks like almost like a rosebud, and she hands it to him. And when he like gently like touches the outside, it like blossoms. It opens, and inside we see that there's a ring. It's this thin, wide band made of. It's woven together from very fine threads of silver, spider silk, and what we think is strands of black hair. And along that inlaid, there's some silver knotwork that goes around it. And there's this one crystal that's kind of woven together in there. It's not like it's almost like it's a roughly cut crystal, and inside the crystal there seems to be some sort of red, like crimson something floating inside. And she that is what he sees when he is handed the mushroom.
He takes the ring from the mushroom, kind of carefully setting the mushroom on the edge of the table nearby, studying the ring kind of in the light. This is a beautiful ring. Is this what I think it is?
It is.
He nods with, you can tell, he's pleased with the gift, but there is also like a layer of like solemnness to this. Like he understands the meaning behind what you have put into this ring. He takes it and he slides it onto his finger, and he nods. And I shall wear it proudly. Thank you, Ariana.
And she just kind of at this point she'll reach forward and just awkwardly, I think, steps out her tippy toes and kind of kisses him on the cheek.
He has that kind of a little bit of a, not hesitation, but a little bit of rigidity still about him. You can tell that it wasn't something he had wholly expected, but it only takes a second before he kind of relaxes, and by the time that you step away, he is smiling. And he says, "The lands are treacherous. I know you know that, but things lately, since the last time you and your friends passed through here, be careful."
We will. We will do our best. That's also why I wanted you to know this before I left, so that there was something here strong to pull me back if I needed while we're out there.
He nods. A home.
A home.
He smiles. I'm glad to hear that we feel the same.
I will not take up more of your time. You are busy.
And you must be going. You have a lot of distance to cover.
Yes. I will come back to you. This is my vow.
Without I have little doubt. You are brave and capable, Ariana. There is a reason that I have always trusted you to serve my banner. If anyone can lead those friends of yours through this trouble, it is certainly you.
With that, she smiles. and like Elvin would say, not goodbye, but until we meet again. Then
He
turn to go.
repeats the departing phrase as you then turn and leave. He kind of watches after you for a moment and then turns back to his affairs here at the table, recalling the people who were helping him. Okay. So, at some point, the five of you are going to reconvene. Just about the time that you are doing so, Sir John, you hear a voice, the voice of a young boy, kind of shouting after you. Sir John, wait!
Who's that there? Balin, right?
Yes, sir, Balin. That's my name. We met yesterday. And you said you were looking for a squire.
That's right.
I would like to humbly offer my services as your squire. And he gives this kind of awkward, but obviously semi-practiced bow. You can see he is, again, half-elven, kind of has a shaggy, unkempt kind of head of hair. Has a little bit of a mischievous look to him, probably not unlike Dane at that age. But he looks very eager at you. You can see that he has, belongings packed up, he's ready to go.
I think Sir John looks over at Dane and is like, well, what do you make of him?
What? Oh.
Squire, Sir Dane.
Right. Yes, no. Balin, right? Balin.
Yes, sir. Balin, he says, repeats, a little worried that nobody seems to remember his name.
Sorry. No. Great. Yes. You'll do great things, Balin.
Yes, I should think so. Perhaps we shall see. But Balin, I must tell you, we're headed in a place where I don't think it's fit for squires, particularly not a brand new squire. So I'll tell you this: when we return from the north, if you've practiced your fencing skills and your courage, then perhaps you will make a suitable squire for me.
He looks a little disappointed whenever you've made it obvious that he's not going to go with you on this part of your quest. But when you mention that you will be looking forward to picking him back up on your way through, if he practices, his eyes suddenly grow wide again, and he nods. Yes, sir. Yes, I will practice my fencing and my courage. You can see kind of a little bit of confusion on his face as to how he's going to practice courage, but
we shall see how you fare when I return, young man.
Yes, sir. There's nothing I can do. I saddle your horse, or you've done that. Or tighten up your stirrups. Seems you've done that too.
Tell you what, though, I'm not taking this barrel with me. It's full of sand. And if you can keep track of it until I return, I would appreciate it.
Sand. Okay. Certainly. Yes, sir.
You roll it up hills, and then you put chainmail inside, and then you let it roll down the hill again, and it cleans the chainmail. You'll be doing a lot of that if you're my squire.
Oh. He kind of exhales. I see, but I get to practice with my sword. I mean, I don't have a sword yet, but it's a stick.
You know, I suppose you didn't see a demonstration of my skill yet, did you?
I did,
watched
sir.
you. He watched you.
Ah, yes, that's right, that's right. Well, all those secrets and more are yours to discover and to master if you choose. But there is barrel rolling involved too. I want to be completely upfront with you about what you're signing up for. The life of a squire is not easy.
He nods, kind of with resolution.
How old are you, Alan?
I have 12 summers, sir.
12.
How old were you when you started, Dane?
Well, before Sir John. 12, maybe 13.
So he's the right
Proper
age.
age, after all.
You were the squire to Sir John?
Still am in some aspects.
Best one I've ever had.
And you're now a knight.
Amongst other things.
You can see kind of again the twinkle in his eye kind of return as he kind of like stands up a little straighter.
I'm gonna kneel down next to him. You wanna know something crazy, Alan?
I guess so.
In the time I've known your soon-to-be master, I've become a knight. Edward over here has become a lord. Tord's become, well, his whole family are now a banner house. And
Tort flexes.
so is Sir John's. But you can't really do a whole lot of this without a sword, now can you?
Well, like I said, I have a stick. I'm practicing with it as if it were a sword, and I'm getting better with it.
That's how I started, with a stick. But a sword, you have to think carefully. The sword you choose, after all, will define you, become part of you, and you it.
He kind of glances down at your empty scabbard.
I'm gonna walk over to my horse and just pull off a generic short sword from my gear.
Oh, but then you wouldn't have one, sir. I couldn't take your sword from you.
Do you see all of those weapons amongst Sir John's stuff? There's enough of them for all of us many times over. Yeah.
He nods.
Take this
and
one.
he looks at the sword that you're about to present him, and you can see that he is beside himself with excitement, but he is trying his best to maintain as much composure as he possibly can.
Wait. I can't give you this.
What? No, of course, sir.
So, John, would you be so kind as to give your squire this gift from me?
I thought you'd never ask. I take it and I get on a knee and I present it to Balin, and I say, "Stick first, but you can hold this every once in a while if you want, and you'll need to learn to keep it clean and sharp."
Don't put it in the barrel. I made that mistake once.
Yes, it was double sprints that day.
He looks very serious. Clean and sharp, he repeats.
That's right. I'll be inspecting it when I return, and I'm sure Sir Dane will as well.
And your parents, Balin, they're okay with this?
Yes, I spoke with my father last night. I told him that I watched Sir John fight, and I offered to become his squire. He wasn't very happy with it at first, but this morning he told me that But if that's what I wanted to do, then I could.
And your father, what does he do?
My father's a miller.
It's a good trade, Miller.
Well, I think that he's happy here. He seems to be. But I'm ready whenever you are, Sir John. I'll be here, and I will roll the barrel, and I will keep my sword clean and sharp.
And you'll do your normal chores that your father gives you. So John's going to ask about that too.
He almost like winces. Yes, I'll do my normal chores too.
And if any of the others in Bangshiel's town, his village, they need your help, you'll help them as well.
He kind of straightens himself up again. Yes, I will. Just like a knight would.
That's right. Feeding horses, slopping pigs, skinning sausage sticks off of trees.
With each one of these, like, chores that you mentioned specifically, his shoulders slump a little further and a little further down. And he nods when you finish. I will.
And you'll do them all like you're a knight. Proud.
He nods again.
Okay.
You may make a fine squire yet, Balin. I'm eager to be reunited upon our return.
Oh, Balin, you'll need to think of a name for your sword. Not yet. Don't jump to anything. You'll find
Name
it.
my sword. Okay. Yes. I'll come up with the best name.
And stay away from bird things. That's kind of Sir John's.
Yes, eagles are right out. Those are reserved for me in my house.
Of course. No birds. Clean, sharp, no birds.
Pretty much have like full range of land-based mammals. There's a lot of good ones.
Bear's tooth. That's pretty good.
He nods
you told him not
and his
to
eyes
name it.
get wide.
Quit spoiling his fun.
I've been kind of toying with the idea of like Lucky Rabbit's Foot or something like that.
You do have that weird claw on the end of yours.
Well, it makes sense because the rabbit's foot's not lucky for the rabbit that had to give it up, and your sword wouldn't be lucky for whoever it was hitting.
I just like the name. Doesn't even have to make any sense.
I'm telling you, so if you're not
That's
careful,
what I love about you, Zatord.
not making sense. If you're not careful, Tord, you'll turn into a poet.
To be honest, my sword actually already has a name. It's Adrian. It's a weapon bequeathed to me by a powerful figure, war god. We were all there.
Yes, I remember.
Yes. I think so. John got his sword from his father?
Yes, the Baron of Cornwall. Now I suppose Duke.
Duke. Wow. And mine came from a puddle.
It was a pond.
I would almost call it a lake.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Balin is kind of like looking from one of you to the other with like increasing confusion. Should I go now?
Balin,
You should go.
2 barrel rolls as soon as you can.
Yes, sir. Of course. And safe travels.
Never.
Thank you.
And he runs off, sword in hand. And shortly after, you can hear him, yeah, and the sword clanging against like fence posts and baskets and things.
A duck. Whack! It's just running away.
Chicken chaser. Perfect. Okay. So it sounds like we are now ready to leave the keep of Baneshial behind and head north. All right. Oh, yes, Josh.
Oh, no big deal. Eddard will be writing a letter to Reagan. He sent magic messages to everybody, but he's going to write a letter to her and send it off. And I'll have the contents of that letter probably next time we play.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. I had said I wanted to speak to Baneshell, but I think I was probably standing out waiting for Baneshell when Ari walked out.
Perfect.
And that was enough for me to not need to speak to him anymore.
Oh, okay.
And so like, I'm standing out there like sort of like waiting, and I see her, so I just turn and go the other direction.
All right. So we see the five of you mount up on your horses and leave through the northern stretches of what was once this expanded keep, heading deeper into the Umberwood and the forests of the druids that lie beyond. I think this is going to be where we take our break. So we're going to take a 10-minute bio break, refill your drinks, go to the bathroom, kiss your spouse, smoke them if you got them, etc., etc. Then we'll come back and play the second half of session 43 of Beneath the Banner's Shadow, titled Fitfully, Slumber, No More. Sit tight, listen to some music from Josh. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second half of tonight's session of Beneath the Banner's Shadow. This is episode or session 43, titled Fitfully, Slumber No More. We rejoin the 5 members of the Sword of Vykaril north of Gendon's Wall, having taken a brief respite with Bane Shial at his keep. Now set out northward towards the elves. First, however, you all know you have to go back through the territory held by the druids north of the Umberwood. Past Bane Shial's keep, you start to very quickly see how little civilization has taken root here. The old Divinian roads do not extend past Bane Shial's keep. So the travel that you are going to have to do will mainly be by using game trails and bushwhacking through the woods. There's not even very many carts or wagons that really travel past this point very frequently. Certainly not enough for there to be wagon ruts and trails for you to follow. You will have to rely on your horses for some of it, and there's other parts where you're going to have to dismount and walk your horses. You've traveled this particular stretch of land once before, although less than a year ago, in characters' mind frames at least, it seems like a long time ago. Probably closer to like 4 or 5 years ago. The forest here is transitioning from the Umberwood, which is itself an old, ancient forest. But soon you start to see signs that you're entering into a different environment. The trees here are still monumental. They are still thickly canopied, enough to where the sunlight coming down into the forest has a green glow to it. Everything is kind of bathed in this slightly green hue. And at first you think you're seeing fireflies here and there, little twinkles of light, but you realize that the daytime is upon you, and fireflies don't tend to be out during the day. But still, these lights flit and twinkle from here to there, and you get this constant nagging feeling that you're not entirely alone, that it's not just the 5 of you. As you travel through these forests, heading into the lands of the druids, what is the conversation or the mood amongst the 5 of you like?
I should probably let you all know that Ferney might be with the druids at this point.
You think they found a way to turn him back from a horse?
That is uncertain, but I know he was sent there to try.
Probably won't be so bad. He seems like the type that really is good at taking a joke. The Fae aren't really the type to hold grudges, you know?
Are we talking about the same Fae?
Dane, have you heard that? I can't remember.
Um, uh, there's a lot of stories that were written, I guess, sort of specifically about grudges, fairy grudges. They're kind of legendary, honestly. Somewhere, apparently, south of here, somewhere in north of the wall. Anyway, there's a whole copse of trees that were some sort of group of loggers back in the day. Yeah, right. Fitting punishment. They came to log the trees and didn't stay away from a particular glade. They had been told by a peasant woman on the road that they shouldn't go that direction. These trees were ancient and beautiful, very big around, big enough to build houses out of a single tree. And of course, these lumberjacks thought, well, that's where we ought to go. And they went that way. And they were given fair warning several times. Things like thrushes bursting from the bushes, and wolves coming into their camp at night, but not attacking them, just staring at them across the flames. Things things that would unnerve you. And the third or fourth day of traveling off the road, they ran back into the same peasant woman. Same woman, same clothing, carrying the same baskets. She told them the same thing. It's a sacred area. You don't go to it. You don't mess with those trees. They didn't listen. So the Fae turned them into trees. All 6 of them.
Well, I suppose it's for the best we are armed.
They were too, axes and such.
I think I might like being a tree.
I don't know.
I mean, it's not like we turned them into orcs. It's not our fault.
Well, you're right.
I think both of those things are half true. So, sort of combined, maybe they make a full truth.
Or a complete lie. Depending on which half you take.
I'm fine with one truth.
But I suppose, honestly, at this point, if Fernie was going to do something to us, he has the kiss or the hair, depending, right? He could have done something. So either he's not going to, or is biding his time, or he's still a horse. 2 of those work out very well for us.
Okay. You continue to ride on for some time, somewhat caught up or lost in this conversation. Let's get a roll from everyone. This is going to be a roll whether or not you are, or how aware, I guess, you are of your surroundings. So however you wish to build your dice pool with that consideration, go ahead and do so. Feel free to ask, or we can talk through it if you need some help. And then let's get those rolls and affect die.
The dice pool is 1 distinction plus any 2 other things, right?
So it's your distinction, a value, and a roll always. And then on top of that, you can roll whatever else you can effectively justify adding. But it's typically 1 die per trait, trait set, typically. And then you total only ever 2 dice. And a third becomes your effect die. If any of those dice roll a 1, they cannot be used for the total or for the effect die. And we need to know about it because it'll be a hitch.
Cool. And we're doing this to like see what's out there, basically, like to notice
like
something?
how perceptive you are.
Cool.
Do you want us to say how we've formed up the dice pool?
I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly okay with that.
Okay. So I'll go first.
Okay.
Using the private and guarded distinction, because she's so private and guarded, that means she sits back a lot and watches and keeps an eye out on people. So I thought that was fitting for looking around. Value is going to be tranquility. Basically, like her statement is to be able to sit and listen to the sounds of nature and know that one is part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the role is going to be scout with the specialty of perceptive. So that's another D8 and a D6. So total of 4 dice.
Excellent. Okay. Cool. That's a great example of how to build from the trait sets that you have.
Do you want me to roll now or wait till everybody's got their things?
Either or. If you want to go ahead and roll and total your stuff up and set it aside, and you can either give us that number if you want, or we can wait until everybody's got their description in. Anybody want to go next?
My distinction, I put road-weary knight of the land.
Mm-hmm.
My value is going to be wisdom. I like to live life in person, which means you got to experience it in person. And then for my signature asset, I feel like my horse and eyes kind of connection kind of extends my field of perception to that of the behavior of my horse for a total of 3 dice.
So you always have a distinction, a value, and a roll. So what value would you like to bring?
Well, I did value was wisdom. I live life
in person, right. I'm sorry. So a roll
would probably be a D6 and scout. Trying to observe my surroundings.
Perfect. Okay. Anybody else?
All right. So distinction. I'm actually going to go with the hand of Camagel, but I'm going to activate the hinder on it. Dropping it to a D4.
Okay, so you'll get a plot point for that. Make sure to record that.
My roll, I'm going to use scout also.
What are you thinking for value?
I'm actually going to use tranquility, which is also a D4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now you can put an additional die in there, right? But you still only keep your other ones. Like you can only keep the 2, right?
Yeah, so you can build a dice pool with, as far as I know, I don't think it's limited. So as many as you can come up with.
Right, but then you run the risk of pulling a 1 on it and so on and so forth. Okay.
Exactly.
So the other one that I would like to include is his relationship with Ari for the D10.
Okay. So yeah, maybe he's kind of taking cues from her or something. That makes perfect sense.
I think he's just so hyperly aware of her right this second that is keying off on, like she would see something, or something pricks her little elven ears, and like all of a sudden he's looking.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. All right.
I think for Eddard's pool, I will use my distinction, Camagel's crossguard. The non-lethal part of the blade, Eddard is the most diplomatic of the group, so he feels like something may be about to go down. He's kind of a little bit more perceptive to make sure they don't get ambushed or something. For the value, I believe I will use courage for similar reasons, and for rolls, I will use scout.
Okay, fantastic. And Sir John.
So for me, I'm going to use my distinction prodigal heir to House Lightnor, but I'm going to use the hindrance for it, emphasis on the prodigal.
Okay.
And I am not attending to the duties of House Lightnor right now, but I have talked to my mom about them recently in this letter, so they're on my mind and kind of distracting me, I think.
Sure, absolutely. Okay,
And then,
so that'll become a D4, and then make sure to record the plot point that you earn from that as well.
Thank you. And then I'm going to do courage for my value. Training and coordination leave nothing to fear. So I'm trusting my instincts to be aware, and if they fail, I trust my reflexes to be quick. And then my role is going to be a thief, so D6. Sorry, scout D6.
Scout D6. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you're going to roll all of those up, and then you'll decide on 2 dice to total. A third die will be your effect die. And then if anybody got any 1s on any of their dice, we need to know, and they cannot be applied to either total or effect die. So we'll just start in the same order. Karen, what you got?
So my total is 10, with my effect die being a D8 and no 1s.
Okay. Excellent. Second up was Tord, I believe.
Total of 12. My effect die is a D8.
Okay. Excellent. Then we had Dane.
All right. Well, Dane is being stupid.
I'm sorry. I did get a 1.
Oh, you did get a 1. Okay.
I did get a 1.
A hitch for Tord. Okay. Well, I think on that, go ahead, Steve.
Right. All right. So you roll all your dice, and then you choose 1 die for your the value, and then one die as the effect value. Correct?
You had 2 dice together to form your value, your total.
Right. But let's say the 2 of those dice came up 1s. You wouldn't add those, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
They cannot be added. That is correct. In that case, I think they both go towards your total, and then your effect die defaults to a D4, I believe.
So I rolled 4 dice. So I
Right.
still have the spare die. So my total will be a 4, and my effect die will be a D10.
No, you have to have 2 dice that are totaling, and that means you don't have another one left over for your effect die.
Right. So it defaults to a D4.
Yeah.
I think you have to
Because
fulfill
the ones
the...
can't use for anything.
Correct.
That's right. So your 1s are out, and you only have 2 dice left, so that whatever they total, that's your
Okay,
total.
well, in that case,
Right.
yeah, it'll be so. All right, so it'll be a. I guess it'll be an 8 with an effect of 4.
A D4. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And then Josh.
Eddard scored a roll of 11 with an effect die of a D8.
Okay. And Sir John.
So John got 2 dice were 2s, so that would be 4. 1 dice is a 1, and I only rolled 3 dice, so I don't
So your effect die would also default to a D4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I rolled a 4, so okay. But I do also have a hitch.
All right. So all of you are kind of preoccupied with the conversation that is taking place, or something else that is maybe weighing on your mind. And it's only after several moments have gone by that a couple of you start to realize that it's very quiet in the forest around you. And the moment that you kind of seem to come to that understanding, to that realization, you find yourself kind of in a small little clearing in the trees, and you are surrounded by a group of hooded, bow-wielding individuals who all have arrows knocked and drawn on you. None of them fire, but one of them, who perhaps maybe leads this small group, kind of a bearded human, steps forward, and he says, "What are you doing here?"
I
Just
look to Ari.
just passing through, heading north.
You're an
And with
elf.
this, she would make sure her hooded cloak is fully revealing the fact that she is an elf.
The rest of you lot look like knights, noblemen. He kind of like sneers in Eddard's direction. A little far from home, don't you think?
They're with me.
Your business here. What exactly do you intend to do? There's been a little trouble lately.
We are just passing through. Our business is in the north with the elves.
You, been around in the area long?
You mean here, or are you meaning in the woods themselves?
No, the area here, north of the Umberwood.
I have spent most of my entire life in the Umberwood and north.
In the last several days, weeks.
Oh, last several weeks we were in Vykaril, the kingdom.
Several of them kind of, crane their necks to kind of look at your horses, the state that they're in, the saddles, your belongings. The one who's kind of been speaking with Ari, the bearded one, kind of relaxes his draw, still keeping the arrow in his bow-holding hand, but relaxing the tension on it, and kind of nods to the others who do the same. You realize that there's several of them that you hadn't seen before that are hidden pretty well amongst the canopy and the underbrush of the trees around you. Well,
I'd like to use one of my abilities right now.
okay, sure.
It's Know Thy Enemy. It's essentially metahuman sense, but it says spend a PP to get a vague sense of your enemy's abilities. Usually they're descriptors or limits.
Okay, perfect.
So it's got a die value, but it's also got a PowerPoint cost. So do I pay the PowerPoint cost and then I make a dice pool and roll it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So I think I'm going to do the Master of the Knightly Arts distinction,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm going to use my wisdom value and my warrior roll, and then the
Okay.
ability is an extra d6. So I think that's all I roll, right?
Sounds like
Oh,
you
no.
have a distinction value and roll.
Yeah, and then I'm like triggering the ability, so I'm adding its die to this pool, and then
Correct.
I also want to. No, never mind. I'm not going to use the sword right now.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to roll these.
Okay. Yep. Go for it.
I did get another hitch.
Okay.
Bummer. but my total is 17, and my effect is 6.
Okay.
What was my hitch?
So your hitch, let me get to, so it's going to be the same hitch or the same complication, for all of you. So I'll represent it here on the screen. That D8 is, what would be a good thing to call this? We'll call it just camouflaged. Essentially, all of you are a little caught unaware by exactly how many and where each of these foes is. Are those of you who have this complication, those of you who rolled a 1. What was your total again, Sir John?
17, and my effect was
17,
6.
okay.
And my question that is on my mind right now is like, can we take these guys? Is this a fight or is this like diplomacy?
So you think that it's turned diplomatic for the moment. They seems to have relaxed their hostility for the time being, but that these people are very on edge. And you think that it probably would not take very much to kick this party off, as it were. As for whether or not you could take them, they kind of have you at a pretty steep disadvantage at the moment. They have you at bow's length. It's, like I said, looking around, it's very difficult to get a solid idea of how many there really are and where all of them actually are. So you might be able to fight them, but you would be starting on a back foot.
Sure. All right. Cool.
You mentioned you are having trouble. What sort of trouble?
A number of us have gone missing lately. Just disappeared. No explanation, no signs. But there's rumors. There's been sightings, if you will. A few people here and there swear that they've seen moonblades about.
Sorry, you said moon blades?
Moonblades.
Moon blades. Does Ari know what those are?
That's a great question. Anybody who wants to see if they know what moonblades are, you can make a roll. I would say that anybody who has lived the majority of their life in the kingdom of Vykaril will. How do you do disadvantage in Cortex Prime? What was your suggestion?
I was just saying that's what hitches. I have no idea.
I think instead what we'll do is your effect die will be stepped down.
Okay.
So does anybody want to roll for this?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Me too.
I also like to roll.
All right. Build them dice pools. Okay.
This is for diplomacy.
This is to see if you know information about the moonblades that were just mentioned.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to use my distinction of being the pommel of Camagel as a warrior for, maybe this is something I would have heard of through training. My role, warrior. I'd like to use my specialty. I don't know if the specialty of blades would fit in this, but if it does, I would use it. Otherwise,
what is the specialty called? Oh, just blades?
Yeah, like I'm good with blades.
Probably not here.
Okay.
Even
Tradition.
though it's in the name. Tradition, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Because of the wisdom of the old ones. And then I'd like, if it fits, my relationship to the Seldown Shield, Arvan.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect time to call on that.
Don't have enough D8s.
Okay. Who else was rolling? Eddard and Dane?
Yeah, I want to roll, but I want to ask. So do you have to have a distinction every time you roll?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, every
'Cause
single roll
I
will
don't
have a
find that-
distinction, a value, and a roll to it.
Yeah. I'm kind of struggling to see where I could fit a distinction in, but I guess the best of my three is Air Lost to History.
Okay. Adversely, you can take the inverse of one of them if you think that it would be potentially a hindrance. You can take
but
a
I didn't- I
D4
didn't
instead
do
of a D8.
hindrances, unfortunately. I didn't write out my
Okay.
hindrances yet for them.
Oh, so it's just any time that it would be the opposite.
Okay.
You take a D4 instead of the normal D8 that the distinction would give you. Every distinction has one.
Okay.
Just in
Yeah,
case that
let's
opens
see.
the field up for you.
Not right now, but I will definitely
Okay.
think on that before next session.
Okay, sure.
So if you're good with that, I'll choose that one at a D8.
Yeah, that works.
My value, I'm gonna use tradition, and for my role, I would use sage with my specialty in font of history.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that would mean a dice pool of 4, and then take whichever one you're using as the effect die and step it down 1 die.
So yeah, you'll still only total 2 dice. So
Right.
it doesn't matter how many dice you throw into your dice pool, you'll only ever total 2 dice, unless you have some kind of special effect that otherwise tells you can, keep an
Gotcha.
extra die or what have you. Unless it's a 1, then you can't keep it. And then yeah, you'll pick a third one that is just the die type that becomes your effect die.
Okay. I rolled a 1.
Okay. All right. And what else did you get?
I got, let's see, total minus the, let's see, I will take +8 +9, so 17 with an effect die of D8, but step down to a D6 for the disadvantage, and I also rolled a 1.
Okay.
On one of my die.
All right, so you will also have a hitch. So you'll earn a
1 PP.
Yep, 1 PP. 1 PP. 1 PP only, please. All right, Dane, what you got?
All right, so I'm going to use Young Man with an Ancient Soul as my distinction. I'm going to use Tradition as my value. And I'd like to use my signature asset of Camagel.
Okay.
As the D10, which will. So I'm gonna push my luck here, adding another die. And I'd like to use my role as Witch. To sort of come up in that ancient lore of what they might be. And I'm going to spend my PowerPoint to step up my Witch die in this case, as part of the effect of Celestial or Camagel, currently being bonded with me. So,
That's a healthy set of dice.
No ones. Yes, not too bad. Okay. So it'll be a total of 20 and an effect die. Well, actually, we'll make it a total of 16 and an effect die of 12 step down to a 10.
Okay, wow. And then Ari, I did not get your dice totals from before, so what did you get?
Yeah, so I was rolling 3 D8s and a D10, and I rolled 2s on all of them except for one, which was a 1. So I
Oh,
rolled really well.
yeah. Yeah.
So a
Okay.
total of 4 with effect die of a D10.
Okay. So Ari, you have no idea.
None. Never heard.
Um, it's a druid thing. Yeah, it's not really, you didn't pay that much attention when you came through the first time. You might have heard the name, maybe, but
I got excited because it had moon in it, but nah, it's not ours.
maybe you learned the elven word for it or something at one
Maybe.
time. However, Dane and Eddard, both of you have read or heard somewhere before this obscure piece of information. And you both understand that the Moonblades are the personal bodyguard, if you will, of the Archdruid, who lives and serves here north of the Umberwood.
So, my understanding correctly that they described the moon blades as the thing that was going on outside in the forest,
Maybe.
or was there something else going on?
They said that people have gone missing lately.
Mm.
Then there was kind of a pause, and he added that there were rumors that Moonblades had been seen about this part of the woods, which both seemed, judging by the way that he delivered this news, to be unusual, and drawing a line between the two things is probably not out of the question in this individual's mind.
Hey Jeremy, I'm gonna ask you a very obscure question. Who would have been the archdruid in the time of Mathuran Gabrain?
The same entity that is currently the Archdruid.
Oh, cool. What's that name? If I could have that off of a 16 and an effect die of 12 that would step down to 10.
Yeah. Her name is Waldreo. I'll just put it in our chat here. Oh, wait, I spelled it wrong. Waldreo.
I was wondering if there was just a very interesting druidic pronunciation of that L that had a D in it.
Hidden D. We're just going to move right past that. Yeah. She is an ancient elf.
And tell me, so it's the archdruid Waldreo. She's still, well, does she still hold her role?
Aye. They kind of exchange looks with one another. She does.
You think your disappearances might be related to her bodyguards?
Well, I don't usually come this far south, and when the sightings started, well, I'm sure it's just a coincidence.
I don't know. Elves keep a lot of secrets.
The bearded man kind of looks a little sideways towards Ariana.
I think Ari's got a little look towards Dane when he says that as well. So he, the guy might have caught that she kind of gave him a little look.
All of a sudden, Dane. Or no, wait, I'm sorry. One of you. Who was it that rolled pretty decently on your perception roll just a moment ago? Which of you was it that rolled the highest?
I
Was it
rolled,
you,
I
Ari?
don't know if I rolled a 10 with the D8 effect
Effect
die
die.
with no ones.
I think there was
To write down
some...
mine. I rolled well enough to notice them coming out.
Yeah,
I
okay.
thought it was Sir John. No.
No. And it wasn't Dane. So I think it was Eddard. So Eddard, it's about this point that you actually catch a whiff of the smell of smoke. Kind of caught on the wind a little.
Take it I can't see anything beyond the thick brush.
Mm-mm.
It just smells like smoke.
Yeah, but it's like undoubtedly the smell of something burning.
Hmm.
You notice a few of the rangers in this area kind of start to turn their noses upwards and look around.
What's that smell? Burning?
Something's burning. It's wood smoke. One of them shakes his head. It's pig. Another one says, smell dung in it too. The group of them very quickly kind of start to melt backwards into the woods. The bearded one kind of looks towards you, Ariana. If you harbor no ill will towards the people of these woods, and you wish to just simply pass through, we'll send word. You'll have safe passage.
Thank
Looks
you.
like we've got business to attend to.
I hope all is well.
He kind of turns and tightens his lips, making a shrill bird-like whistle, and within mere seconds, all of these hooded individuals just melt away into the green glow of the woods around you.
Right? It's a little odd.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think we should ride on, but be careful. Keep an eye out. And with that, she'll just start moving her, spur the horse and start heading out again.
All right. You continue to press northward, a little more cognizant of your surroundings. The smell of smoke intensifies as you continue. Doesn't seem like you're headed directly into the source of it, but it's definitely crossing the path that you're traveling and covers some distance. At some point, you start to actually see kind of thick black smoke, little tiny hints of it here and there, and then you come to a place where you can see past the canopy, and there is a large column of black smoke just roiling upwards. As the sky darkens and night sets, you finally kind of pass by a body of water that you can see on the far side of it. There's a small lakeside village that is completely ablaze. And you can see the villagers and what you're guessing are the hooded shapes of these individuals that you ran across, kind of running to and fro, trying to save what they can. Find something. On your side of the shore, you see a group of individuals. Found it. Who are not overly dressed, but wear masks that cover their faces and have antlers on them. The eyes of these masks, as well as runic drawings that cover their bodies, and some of them even seem to have them that hover close to their body, are all glowing with the pale blue light of the moon. They stand on the far shore of this village burning, apparently just watching. Now, one of them turns their head in your direction and watches as you approach.
And we have to go like towards them to go where we want to go.
Nope. You can give them a wide enough berth to go around.
The last time we interfered with druid stuff, they got really pissed.
Do we think these are druids?
They look druidy.
Those are 100% Valdrail's Moonblades.
Strange customs.
Our fight. Not our fight.
I'm apprehensive to poke my nose anywhere.
You say so, Arya.
Wasn't our fight a year ago either. Dane's gonna slide down from his horse.
Remember how well that worked out for us when we poked our nose where it didn't belong before?
I'm gonna start walking towards the closest one.
When you pull up on your horse and you dismount and you start making your way closer on foot, one of them will kind of peel off from the rest of the group and kind of move towards you to meet you. You can see that this individual is armed with what looks like a sizable stone axe, club, something in between. Also kind of with these kind of runic glowing carvings upon it. And as you approach, this individual will kind of hold up their other hand towards you.
I'll stop.
You are entering the lands of the druids. You are dressed as a person who follows the new ways.
Am I?
You are. What do you want here?
here merely to speak.
Then speak.
And I'll switch over to Elvish. And whatever the term for, moonlight is. What brings the children of Valdrail so far south?
It is on Waldereo's bidding that we come south. We do what she asks of us. What business is it of yours?
At this moment, merely curiosity. I've never, would never have thought Valdrail would have sent you to burn a village.
We are excising a wound. The new ways have taken hold here, festered. They must be cleansed, burned away.
New ways are finding themselves everywhere, unfortunately.
You're not wanted here. None of you are. He kind of casts a look over your shoulder.
I don't want to be here, but I must. We all must. So, she sent you to burn the human villages, push them out, push them south,
She
back
sent
behind
us
your wall.
to cleanse, and that is what we have done. Either you can accept that and move along, or you cannot, and you will be excised as well.
You don't want to make an enemy of us.
You have already made your enemy with us. Long ago. You come here with your steel, with your saddles. You tried to build your walls here, your castles. You bring your coin. You bring your rules. You bring your corruption. No more.
Which of those things do you see on me now? You know me so well. Look at me. Look at me closely. How much of that do I carry with me? I'm going to spin a PowerPoint and I'm going to start blotting out every bit of light in the scene.
Okay.
Just slowly. Starting with like the edge of the flames in the distance sort of becoming orange and then gray, hazy, and the water, the reflections in it sort of being absorbed back into the deepness of the lake. Until it's just he and I standing here.
It's when the brightness, the glow of the runes he has on his shillelagh, his body, and the eye sockets of his mask, whenever those begin to fade, he takes a step backwards, looking down.
Not
You
all
just-
of us have given up the old ways. Careful what your next words are, what you were about to say that I use. For magic is no different than a stone tool, an elf or a man's hand.
You
It
do not
matters
tell me
not.
what magic is. What do you know of magic? You know, the tricks that you have been taught? Where did you learn how to do this kind of magic?
I don't even remember anymore. I thought at one point my mother. And I thought before that she learned it from her mother. And before that, I thought, her mother, my there's a long line of magic. So I thought.
So now you've come for our magic as well.
No, I don't come to take anything. I come to offer things, not to take them.
We want nothing you can offer.
That's not for you to say. Remember, you do her bidding, not the other way around.
You are not welcome in our lands. I know that my mistress will feel the same. We will let you go from this place, but if we cross paths with you again...
Or you can send her a missive right now and ask her if the scion of Belligan, the Fakin, if she would grant that person a short conversation.
You are of the blood of Belligain the Fakin. He has like this line of incredulousness to his voice.
How would you like me to prove it? Is that for you to determine?
I ask a question of you, simply. Is it true?
Yes.
And those you travel with?
They're not blood related to me. But I have died for them, and they will die for me. They are like your brothers and sisters there. Not by blood. Not by birth. But by something deeper.
He kind of takes a step back, changes the way he's kind of holding himself, his posture. But he kind of holds his shillelagh kind of up in your direction, not necessarily in a threatening kind of manner, but just using it kind of to point at you. We will not cross weapons with you here. Child of Belgain. But know this. The ways of your king and your queen are not wanted here. If you seek to change the way that we have lived our lives for thousands of years, every last one of us will die to stop you.
There is a war coming, not from my kind and not from yours. But if not stopped, all of our family, yours and mine, will die till there are none left. That is what I come to speak. What we come to speak to Maldrea and the Queen further still about. But we will not cross swords with you here.
I'll take your words to the Archdruid. If she deems to see you, then we'll find you and bring you before her, on bended knee.
You needn't bend your knee.
If she decides that she does not want you on her lands, We likewise will find you.
And deliver me a very polite message saying such. I understand.
Keep your humor with your good counsel. You've been warned.
Yes. Keep your warm wishes with yours.
He kind of backs away, kind of watching you, until like his whole body is almost turned away from you, while his head still is kind of considering you.
Creepy.
Before he's several paces away. Then he finally turns completely and walks back to the edge of the water to rejoin the rest of them.
We had forgotten how temperamental those elves can be.
Just to be fair, he's not an elf.
I honestly don't know that that Camagel would know the difference.
Might not.
I mean,
Ari would probably be able to tell just by the build.
If you said
yeah.
that when you came back, Ari's word was they weren't elves.
In a manner of speaking.
No, not even in a manner of speaking.
No, completely in a manner of speaking. If you go back far enough, Ari, you're kind and they're kind of the same thing.
No, we're not.
No, pretty much. Which one of us is connected to an ancient sword? Which one of us is an elf?
Yeah, you have more in common with them than I do.
Ooh, I don't think so. I don't think so. He actually liked me more than you.
Exactly, because you're more like him.
Oh, no, because I haven't pissed him off yet.
Because you're more like him.
What am I?
I think so.
Well, I am.
You're just as annoying. And she'll start riding.
Sorry, maybe you want to hit me.
You call me a trollop again, and I sure will.
Oh, dang. You died from that? That's great. Call me a trollop. I'll punch your lights out. I'll just run away and go live in my trees and eat my bark with Bane Shield. Being a mother bird does so good for you. Yeah.
All right. So you ride onward, leaving these individuals, perhaps Moonblades, standing at the shore of this lake in this burning village behind you. As the light slowly returns, you ride onward until you find a place to make camp for the night. The next morning, you are able to break camp and continue on with your journey. Before long, you start to recognize signs of where you are and realize that you are approaching the Druid village, the one who you stayed with briefly the last time you passed through this area. Is there anything that you want to say or do before you ride into their village? Or are you riding into their village?
I mean, I'd rather not ride into their village.
What's the alternative?
Riding around? Maybe off the road a bit, through some trees in an ancient elven forest. Nothing bad could possibly happen there.
Sure, that was my thing. What do you think's out there?
Oh, well, I suppose nymphs, lure you into water and drown you.
More Fae.
Angry trees that speak and club us to death.
So you're more afraid of the things that might be than we know the things that are.
Better the devil I know than the devil I don't.
But the other way could just be fine. No problems, just passing through. Nothing to see here. We can just keep going north.
You
I'm not looking for a fight.
you pick.
And if we walk into the Druid village, we'll probably end up there.
Right. Hey, what do I know? Can't tell the difference between an elf and a fae. Go ahead and just lead on.
Ari, I'm with you. I think you know this forest better than anybody. And I also don't want to fight with the druids. I interrupted their ritual last time. I'm sure they'll recognize me.
Sir John, Tord?
Oh, I was quite unkind to them. I'm not eager to cross paths again.
I like walking around. Walking around is fine.
What's Dane doing at this moment? Is he like just ignoring everybody?
Sitting on his horse. Like you might turn to expect to see him like sort of like glaring at you or like staring daggers, and he's not. Like he is so I don't know. Like that look at you like you remember when you were a kid and like you had like friends or something come visit and like you knew the next morning they were leaving and so you had that sort of like weird like distant look like you were going to see them for a very long time. Like that's pretty much how you see him staring at you all the time unless he's covering it with being nasty. So that's probably what you catch. But on the other hand, maybe they're the wounded friends that we need to get wood from or something. Right? We did kind of wound them.
That could be true. I always took it as the elves were
It's
wounded friends.
It's not true. It's not true. Okay.
All right, so around we go.
Right. Good idea.
Okay. Ari, you're leading the way. I would like you to make a roll to see how well you're able to navigate your group through the wilds around this village.
Oh dear. I know how well I'm rolling tonight. Okay. Well, we'll do scout. Would perceptive work in this, knowing like seeing the trees that recognize some of the geography, some of the things that like the natural traps that one should not walk into, that sort of thing?
Yeah. You have a specialty called perceptive?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it certainly would.
Okay. Value. I'm going to say tradition again. This is the old ways, the old forest. We do what we always do.
Okay.
I'm going to use the distinction always on this outskirts, but as a hindrance actually, because she's never, even though this is her home and her home forest, she's never really felt like this was her home. So I'm going to take the D4 on that one.
Okay. All right. Make sure to record your plot point.
Oh, yay. Do that right now before I forget. All right, and now we will roll. Oh, okay. Well, we have a 1 on one of my dice.
Okay.
I'm
so
going
yeah.
to go with a total of 10, with the effect die being a d6. But I do have a 1.
Okay. You did have a 1. Okay, so that is a hitch. Okay. Okay. So you managed to pick your way around the location of this village. You're within earshot of them. But you've given yourself, enough distance with the the lay of the land, and are carefully kind of picking your way around to not come across any part of their village itself. However, as you are kind of rounding the back side of the village, as it were, and kind of starting to cut northeast again, you come across a clearing, and you realize that some of the familiarity that you were using to kind of guide your pathing and stuff through these woods is because you've tread some of this ground before, and you find yourselves walking back through the area that you have seen before, called the Stone of the Moons. There's a familiar looking raven that is perched in the opening at the top of this rock that is caked with what is maroon and brown blood now. The raven Vanwa sits in the opening of this stone, cawing as you approach. As you see this familiar sight again, no one is present aside from you and Vanwa. What is the reaction from everyone as you tread this familiar ground?
I think the first thing that Ari says under her breath is "darn it," which is shit in common.
Tord just says, shit. This is like the one place I really didn't want to come back to. That's really the one bird I didn't want to see here either.
Maybe we were meant to come here. You're meant to see the bird.
I will approach it slowly.
Okay. You approach the middle, the center of these kind of arrayed stones, these slabs, these altars, if you will. The sign of a fire at the center is long cold. Your guess is, it looks like there might have been one additional fire since you have been here last. Maybe. It's been some time. So you approach this standing stone that has this circle opening at the top. This cascading, caked, coagulated blood on its surface. As you approach, Vanwa moves over to the edge of this stone where her claws are just hanging over the face, and kind of turns her head sideways to regard you with one of her black eyes. Continues to caw as you close the distance between you.
Now go away, little bird, and like he's gonna like start trying to like motion or scare the creature away. No need to follow us or watch us. Go away.
The bird kind of like turns its head the other direction to use the other eye to kind of regard you now. Squawks again a couple of times, low and long, and then takes off from the perch and swoops down very close to you, like buzzing the top of your head, before flapping its wings and gaining momentum and altitude, and taking off into the sky.
Well, I don't trust anything anymore. We're being observed.
All right, then maybe we should not tarry and just continue on our way.
Can I just like, while since I move forward towards this like stone, and is there any objects or anything just kind of like in the open?
Yeah, at the very least, there's remnants of the last fire that was here. So there's lots of sticks. There's even loose stones and all kinds of things of that matter here.
If there's nothing like ceremonial or anything like that, Tord would think we should go.
Okay.
Yeah, don't stop, keep going.
Okay. You collect yourselves, mount back up, make your way through this place that has this. It's not an energy that you're unfamiliar with. It's very similar in power to the feeling that you got when some of you visited the smoldering sycamore, much further south, where Dane confronted his sister. There's a definite presence here, very old, very connected to the world around you. But this has it has an unsettling quality to it here. It definitely is the kind of thing that gets under your skin and is hard to wholly ignore. So, all of you feel some form of relief as you ride onward and put this place behind you. You find yourself back in the strange, unusual forests that embody the lands of the Druids. And I think that's where we're going to end tonight's session. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, this was fantastic, everybody. This was really good. Lots of great scenes of role-playing, as always. It didn't feel like we necessarily covered a ton of ground, but we actually did. We actually made quite a bit of progress. I'm really happy with that. So, I am going to pass things back over to my players so that they can give any parting words that they might like. Once again, touch on what they might have going on or where you might be able to find them on the internet. And then we're going to call it a night. So we will start in the same order that we did before. We'll start with Karen.
Hello, everyone. Mything Gears. If I'm not here on this channel, then I'm over at Mini Train Domain. I really, really am creeped out by the Druid's Forest. Just saying. Just saying. Don't want to be here. Makes me uncomfortable. Want to get through it. Can't wait for the next session to find out what's in store for us. As always, it's been an amazing time playing with you guys tonight. So cannot wait for the next one. And thanks. Love you all.
Absolutely. Love you too. This is a really special game. Like, it's just we've played so long together, and we've played these characters for so long that it's just it's remarkable to me that we can still have developments in the relationships between these characters that feels fresh and new and exciting to explore. We're still learning things about these characters that we haven't yet discovered, which is really exciting as well. So yeah, thank you for always being more than willing to explore all the spooky places, whether that is in the world itself or waiting in the annals of the character generation that we did a long time ago. All right. Speaking of waiting in the annals, next up is Baron.
Asshole here. Thank you for having me, as always. I am both, grateful and frustrated when it's not like a toward centralized thing, but it's so good that you just want to like see where it all comes together. And then when something does happen, it's like, oh fuck, this is about me, and now I don't want it on me anymore. So it's like, go away, bird. Get out of here. Cortex is tough to wrap your head around, but also easy to use. And it's almost like something that you'd like to see what a min-max character would look like, just so you can see like the proper way, not even necessarily proper, like a good way of building a character so that you can feel effective. There's definitely things that I know I feel effective in, but I also feel like I'm inadequate in others. And that's perhaps the transition from like what you can do versus who you are, and how to like connect those nodes from what was to what is now, and how to like bring them forth using the tools available. And so it's been interesting, and I'm curious to see as our comfort grows what we are able to do with it that we couldn't do before. So other than that, I'm gonna wrap it up and say I had a great time. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely, my pleasure. Yeah, it's Cortex is a very different creature from D&D, undoubtedly, and I think that it brings a lot of interesting perspective to the table, to the characters and the story. I think that there's still, like I said, the cart's still bumpy, still definitely figuring out how to drive this engine. But I think we're getting there, and I think, I'm going to do a little bit more research, reading, try to see if I can't get a little bit better handle of hitches and group roles and things of that nature, and put a little bit more polish on it, hopefully. So, but I am super stoked that all of you are so willing to give it a shot, give it an earnest try. So thank you. All right. Speaking of giving it a shot and an earnest try, Eli.
Hey everybody. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I feel like at the beginning of the thing I was talking about how all of my little bits on my character sheet are character statements. And we had the role earlier where like I kind of ran into the same trouble as Eddard. I was like, I don't know what my distinction is relevant here or whatever. And then I was just like, okay, so I'm not going to think about like which distinction is best. I'm going to think about which hindrance is worst. in this situation, and that's what I'm going to go with, right? Because and it was kind of fun. It was like, oh, I'm no longer choosing what's the best here. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm going to create trouble for myself right now. And it was cool. I also am surprised at how quickly we accumulate the plot point things. That's
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. We'll get to spend those pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, definitely. They encourage you to spend them in the book because they say, they will come up often as long as you're, engaging with the mechanics and rolling. They'll come up often enough that, don't hoard them. You look for ways to spend them. So
Totally.
I'll go over the plot point portion of the document and make sure to. There's quite a bit there already, but I'll make sure to add as much detail as I can to how all of you can use those, the different ways and things that you can get a benefit from those. Yeah, like I said, I was talking about Cortex with a good friend of mine last night, and one of the things that we were kind of talking about, and we've discussed it as a group here, is how something like a value doesn't necessarily have to be the thing that your character cares about the most. It's the thing that is going to impact or shape your character's story the most. So it's not necessarily a thing to be wielded by your character as a choice. Sometimes it's really about making the choice of the story that they're in, which is kind of what you're talking about, taking the hindrance for one of your distinctions. You find yourself making decisions that are not necessarily the most beneficial to the character, but they're the right part of the story to tell for your character, if that makes sense. So it's a very different way of approaching playing a role-playing game, but it's interesting. It's a really great mental exercise, I find.
It really is. And I'll say, like, the dice mechanics themselves, I still need to kind of wrap my head around that part of it. It's still confusing to me. But, like, the basic idea of, like, let's make character statements or let's make trouble for ourselves. And then we're making character statements too. Like, that's just really exciting to me.
Yeah, I'm here for it. All right. I know neither one of you got to do an introduction, so if you kind of want to wrap part of that into what you're saying here, please feel free. But we're going to go to Steve next.
Hi, I'm Steve. I'll be playing Dainton. No, wait. No, it's sorry, brain. It's still a lot of fun after all these years, right? Like that's like the important part. Is that it's still all very enjoyable and there's still new stuff and new discoveries and old discoveries that you forgot that you already discovered. It's funny, like we've had this immense data collection that Eli's done. It's like, I don't know, like 475,000 pages or something along that might be a slight exaggeration, but it's close. It's close. Anybody else like find themselves like sometimes like pouring through it before a game session going, all right, what are some other names I might need to use tonight now that relationships are a little more important and they're coming up all the time, this and that and the other. Yeah, definitely find that happening.
I try so hard to keep that character list wrangled in a way that is like functional in any way, and every time I add one, I'm like, oh fuck, where's this gonna go? Oh man.
Yeah,
my bad.
You guys have all seen it, right? So it's like these are the people from this area, these are people from this area, but then like he also has like subsections where like these are people that are like important to Tor, these are people that are important to Sir John, and you're like, holy shit nuggies. Like
this list of people has been self-planted to Raisin.
Right, exactly. So props to you, Eli. Like there's more notes in that than I took through my entire educational career. 100%. But yeah, great game, lots of fun. Thanks for letting me be mean to you, Karen.
You're welcome. I enjoy it, and your time's coming.
So is yours. That's all I got.
When you least expect this, boom, unconscious. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. All right. Last but certainly not least, we have Josh.
Hey guys, I'm Josh. I played Eddard Bington Pindrake like I always do. I'm responsible for the sounds that you hear during the break and the sounds that you're going to hear at the end of the show if you keep listening. And I actually just sent over another one to Jeremy. All of these pieces are inspired by the characters from the campaign, and the most recent one was inspired by Ariana. So he's
It's
got that one
awesome.
now. He's got that one now in his email, and he's gonna work that in somewhere. Yeah, I think I just need to echo everybody's sentiments and say 43 sessions in, or was it 42 sessions in, and we finally got the big reveal about Eddard's back his history with his family name. I was like, oh, okay. So like what, 4 or 5 years almost, and now we're finding out why oh, so nobody knew about who this guy was because there's a big ass spell. Makes sense now, but we're just finding out like big important plot pieces to this story just now. So I can only imagine what's still out there. Um, so, but yeah, I mean, it's great every month to if we can get together with you guys and play this. I enjoy it a lot. So thanks again, Jeremy, for running this, and thank you all for being here. Thanks everyone for watching too. If anybody was watching out there.
Here. Yeah, man, it's an incredible feeling to finally get to reveal things after such a long time. Again, after almost 5 years of playing together, we're almost to bullet point 2. So, yes, there's still a lot out there. But
Turns out this sword is actually only made out of metal and wood. No need to forge it. Nothing. Just the metal, the wood.
It's just
sword.
perfectly fine. Just strap it together. We're just gonna go straight to the end. No, but again, like I'm having such a great time exploring this part of Rostfiend, and getting the chance to take a really, 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 really deep dive into these characters and what makes them tick and all of that kind of stuff. It is genuinely a pleasure of mine, and all of you are such good friends that I enjoy spending time with you, and the fact that we get to spend time together while doing that and having fun, taking digs at each other and laughing, it's just amazing to me that I get to do this as a hobby. So thank every single one of you for being a part of this incredibly long but very worthwhile journey. I'm really excited to see if we can reach the finish line at some point, and what that's going to feel like at the very end of this truly epic saga that we've been weaving together. Yeah. So, same message I have at the end of every single game, and that is that kindness is a free action. It costs you absolutely nothing to be kind to someone, and the world is a pretty nasty place sometimes, especially now. So, go out and put some positive energy back into the world because we need it. Speaking of positive energy, thank all of you very, very much who watch along for these games. It means so much to me to be able to see that people are getting entertainment from the fact that we're sitting here having fun. I adore the fact that there are people out there who are committed to this story, who are invested in what's going on and want to see what happens next. It means the world to me. So thank you very much. If you could do all the things that YouTube likes for you to do, hit the like button, subscribe, share the link around, do all that kind of stuff. It's good for the channel. It's good for, the algorithm and all that other bullshit. But I would definitely appreciate that as well. Sit tight. You're going to hear Swordbreaker in just a moment from my boy Josh. I will work on getting Ari's song cycled in. We'll probably just kind of cycle these out until I can figure out a way to kind of build an actual shuffled playlist to put here. on the games. But until then, enjoy, and yeah, we'll see you around. So until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.
Teeth.